Jose, appreciate you hopping on today. I just realized you got the Steelers helmet above you, so I'm a near and dear Pittsburgh fan. So you're one of the many players that we unfortunately never got the chance at the Pirates to run with. But anyway, excited to dive in, especially on the business side, investment world, and so yeah, thanks for hopping on.
No, thank you for having me. It's a great pleasure, a great treat. So looking forward to it.
So I'm gonna start here because we're both have involvement on this side, but the USL. So I'm part of the ownership group, Westchester SC, USL One. You just did the Las Vegas team. Give us the rundown how that opportunity came about, what excited you about it, and what you're trying to do there, and the overview of it.
Yeah, more specifically on the investment world itself, I've been looking to dive into professional sports ownership for a while and just understanding the landscape, where I fit, and being realistic about, wanting my involvement to be meaningful and have some say into it. Quickly found out the Big Four was not the place for me. Those valuations are through the roof, and for the amount of capital that I was willing to invest, I try to maintain discipline when it comes to that. I have set aside a specific number, and was trying to stick to it. So I quickly learned that I wasn't going to have the influence or the access that I wanted to learn, to continue to grow, and to perhaps have some influence in shaping the outcome and the path of whatever organization I was going to want to have within the Big Four. So my attention shifted elsewhere, which led down a kind of like an experience of learning. And then even finding a better match in the USL when it comes to growth, right? Because this is a growth investment for me and my family. So in order to check that box, I think I ended up understanding and learning that the USL was an even better place for growth than some of the other ones. Obviously, not wanting to that sound like it's critiquing by any means of the Big Four. Obviously, that's the Mount Rushmore of professional sports in North America, but I do believe there's better growth potential in the USL than the Big Four in the next 15 to 20 years, looking forward. So, and from there, just being around the hoop, visiting the USL headquarters here in Tampa, where I live, where this is home for me. So just get in there, really learning, more about the league, more about the different levels of the league, and um, what kind of opportunities were available, where valuations were, what makes these individual franchises tick from a business perspective, and just kind of really getting prepared for when that time came, and was hopeful that I would find a good opportunity. Just kind of hanging around. It led me to explore different opportunities out there with the USL, and eventually, when I got in front of the Vegas one, I couldn't help it but try to pounce upon it. Just understanding the market, where soccer, I believe, is going to go in North America from its growth potential, and just kind of what a project and kind of project it was in Vegas, having a great addressable market, but being somewhat of a neglected franchise that needed a lot of investments and a lot of hard work put into it, staffing up, rebuilding the relationship with the community. That's where the growth potential is, but also the evidence, there's a lot of work to be done here. So I enjoy a challenge, and I'm a avid learner. So I kind of took that opportunity by the horns, and trying to make the best of it so far. It's very early into it. It's only 4 or 5 months, but we've made great strides, and we're continuing to change every single day and get better and improve. And hopefully our fans notice. Hopefully they know that we care. We're trying to make this the best organization in the USL and create the best fan experience possible. Um, and this is exciting. I've been busy, more busy than that I would have liked to be, because I've had to personally get involved way more than I thought I had to, and I have my wife to remind me daily of that I am extremely busy and kind of hard guy to catch these days. But it'll be temporary, right? We'll have great experts doing the best that they can do and making our organization the best it can be. So I'm excited about what the future holds for us.
Yeah, and when you were still playing, were you thinking through a lot of this stuff? Were you learning? Like, what were some of the things you were doing? Because you've been able to make a pretty quick jump into, again, like you said, a sizable investment with a lot of involvement yourself as well. So it seems like you laid the groundwork many years prior to retiring from the baseball world.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I've always been a saver and a disciplined investor, and I always relied on great teams to provide great advice. And as you grow in wealth over the years, you kind of level up as you go because if you are inquisitive and ask the right questions and you're a learner and you're not shy about coming off as ignorant or dumb, which is a huge kind of assumption in the athlete world.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't play into um, the prototype. You can ask a lot of questions. You can learn. You can easily see that there's certain missing pieces along the way. So that's why you continue to strive for the best advice you can get. And I kept doing that and doing that. And that process of learning over 15, 20 years leads to a lot of knowledge and a lot of great relationship building. You meet a lot of great people that help you along the way. Um, so I felt, that I was, not created from the same mold as most guys, given my upbringing. My mom's an accountant by trade, and my dad was his own entrepreneur, poultry farmer business. My mom, acted more as a CFO to a conglomerate of companies. So growing up, I always heard things about, saving money, balancing your checking account, things that kind of laid the foundation for me to easily kind of learn the more complicated things that came on after. So I think because of that, I was always just open to learning and exploring things, and that led me to different investments that ended up being great and working out. Primarily, where I got the bulk of my operating business experience was my involvement in Marucci Sports. I got involved there early in partnership with David Ortiz. We took on the, you know, majority, minority majority position. So we were through our partnership, we had the biggest chunk of shares, but we were still a minority owner in the business, um, and we took a board seat, and I acted on the board seat for the majority of the time, uh, and it was a huge learning experience just to how to operate a business and kind of drive its future success. In conjunction with a great board that we had at Marucci. Those guys uh, were unique because they wanted to be mindful and respectful and have the input of the professional athlete owners that they had in the cap stack, but they were also willing to, kind of hold my hand and teach me through how a board operates and answer my questions when I didn't understand anything. So doing that for 8 to 9 years kind of really set the foundation as a business operator. And you know, Marucci Sports was and still is to this day a great success. The majority of the shareholders sold prior to COVID in 2020 to an investment fund. I think it was publicly traded, but they operated kind of like private equity style.
Mm-hmm.
And we went from losing money when a bunch of us got involved, like around 2010, 11, to selling for around 200 million right before COVID. The company has since flipped again to Fox, the Shocks company. They're publicly traded as well. But the majority of us got out on the first sale. So that learning curve kind of really felt like cut my teeth to be ready to pounce on other opportunities that came on after. So um, I'm always eager to learn and always excited to be a part of different different opportunities. So my door is always open to look at
Yeah.
things.
And Marucci, that was through, was that Mark Walker and Dugout Ventures? Was that?
Mark Walker was involved as David's advisor, and we did it in partnership. David, myself, and him.
Got it.
It was not with Dugout. Dugout Ventures was born way
After.
after, But
Got it.
yeah, Mark Walker had a big thumbprint on it. He kind of put the deal together. He brought David and I together. He acted on the board seat himself for
Hmm.
quite a few years. Um, and he was another great mentor
Yeah,
at
he's a
the
good one.
point in time. So he's a great dude with great intentions. It's we're lucky as athletes to have guys like that around that can open up doors and help
Hmm.
us execute.
Yeah, yeah. Mark's great. Are so when you, it seems like you have a lot of people around you as well, but when you get new things sent to you, or you're evaluating opportunities, what are you looking at? How are you doing the due diligence? I'm always curious as you start to get a little bit more off on your own. Do you have a team around you? I'm sure you get sent hundreds of things, and we all hear the horror stories. It seems like you've made some pretty smart, savvy, well calculated moves. How are you evaluating them? How are you doing the proper due diligence?
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could take the credit all myself, but I think we really do truly rely on the team that supports us, right? And I let them do their thing, and I try to build up the trust in between evaluating opportunities, so I don't second guess what they're saying. And when I don't understand something, I ask the question, and the right team with the right intentions will always take the time to explain things and break them down until you fully understand them. And we're athletes, right? You got to have humility into this. We're better. We're at our best, and what we do is be the best athletes we can be. And the business people, it's the same thing for them. So just like we're not going to expect them to hit 300 if we tell them to step in the batter's box, we shouldn't expect ourselves to go into their realm in the business world and be the best, evaluators of opportunities and business operators. That would be unfair to ask of ourselves. So um, I truly just relied basically on creating the best team around me possible, who I trusted in their opinion, and they wanted the best for me as a client and as a partner, and just we found some hidden gems that ended up being great companies and had success while we were at it. So you know, if I were to give the athletes the advice on how to operate this, like focus on what you can do, and that's building a great team around you that you trust. And from there, you'll probably be better off making decisions, and your margin of error will be reduced.
And we see a lot of NBA and NFL players jump deep and heavy into this world. The MLB is either a little more behind the scenes or a little bit behind. You're a part of leading that charge, I would say. What do you think
Here's
is
what I
it?
think on
Yeah.
that. Because of the nature of our industry and our CBA and the fact that our contracts are guaranteed, I think there is a smaller interest in taking risk from our athletes.
Even with the guaranteed contracts and stuff.
I think that's primarily why, and we have a
Hmm.
good union that has a great benefit plan, and we have a great pension and great insurance coverage. And again, because it is guaranteed, you have more of a laid foundation. So it tends to take your risk tolerance to it make you say like always seek for that safety, right? Which is not a bad thing if you end up being a saver, right? I think even to the point where we could use taking more risks as investors, primarily baseball players. Um, but I don't think it's a bad thing necessarily, um, because it does create less horror stories, and that's why I think as a percentage of the total of the bad stories that are out there, baseball players appear less than other athletes. Um, and also I think we have a tendency on relying on others a little more. I think I've seen the risk tolerance uh, from my experience, which is not huge, but I think I've seen the tendency already from basketball, football, and other athletes where they want to be associated with success so badly that they take on more risk,
Mm.
perhaps without the great advice and without the knowledge to kind of see some of these things through. And I also think the nature of the non-guaranteed deals for the football players makes them want to sort of catch lightning in a bottle
Mm.
more often than not, to create that that nest egg that can take care of their circle. And as you know, um, us athletes, we become the primary provider for our families, and sometimes a bigger circle than our families. And we, a lot of guys take the responsibility to to have a to take care of a bigger group, right? And I think that knowing where salaries come in and the fact that some of these contracts for football players are not guaranteed, I think it makes them want to do something outside of the sport that's going to be able to allow them to take care of their group for a longer period of time. And unfortunately, that makes you more of a risk taker, which kind of leads to not great outcome at times. So I think with a lot of planning, finding great advice, creating great teams, you're kind of covering your bases. And at the end of the day, you want to make the best educated decision you can. It's hard to control results, um, but I would urge guys to kind of think about it that way and not just uh, be part of great investments too soon and too quick in their careers.
What about from the media lens, even? Like, we're on the investment side, I agree. But even on the media, it's like every NFL, NBA player has their own podcasts and shows. You don't see too much from the MLB. Is it just even a culture thing? Like, what I think they are tied a little bit together, even the media and the investment, and you don't see much of either side.
I think, again, the nature of our sport, the fact that we play every single day, kind of shields us from some of this stuff, right? Because you can't really take your eye off the ball, no pun intended, and say, I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to dedicate 4 hours a day, 3 hours a day, 2 hours a day to a podcast. Maybe some guys do it when they retire or in the off season because our attention needs to be 100% on playing the game. We play 162 games in 180 days, and then you add spring training to that, and then you add off-season training to that. Like, and it has become a 365-day a year job because if you don't do what you need to do in the off season, you show up not in shape. Unless you have a fully guaranteed long-term deal, you might lose your position within a club. So in other sports, you play once a week, twice a week, you kind of have more free time and that allows your mind to think and go in a different direction, which may make you pull the trigger on doing something like a podcast to have added value and increase
Mm-hmm.
relevance and control your brand. And while all those things are good, there has to be, and there are more attention and cost effective ways to do it while not neglecting number one in your bread maker, which is playing your sport to the best level you can. That's kind of how I feel about it, and I wish some guys would, you know, do what they do best and let the other things kind of play out. I think they also get pitched a lot by people that just hang out um, and want to add value, and they bring ideas, and sometimes they're great ideas, but sometimes the agenda is not necessarily to think, let me take care of the athlete first. Let me give him the best advice for him. There's at times, you know, people that are within groups that are also looking out for themselves, which again, it's not a bad thing as long as you make sure that that
Mm-hmm.
athlete who becomes a provider for everybody is not affected negatively while you're at it. So it's a tough balance, and it's a tough rope to kind of balance on, but that's where getting to know people and making sure that your circle's small but it's people you trust and really have the best intentions for you is ultimately the most important thing you can do as an athlete.
Mm-hmm. And when you look at some of these opportunities as well, when you're looking at founders, when you're looking at the people component, which is what this whole game is anyway, what are you looking for, right? None of the analytics, none of the true investment financials, like just pure, who are the people? What are some things that stand out? Or you go, okay, I'm willing to bet on that person. I mean, even the USL, I'm willing to bet on that league. But again, you're really just betting on the people that created this entity.
Right. It's understanding the landscape, being creative, having resilience, being resourceful, having the type of mentality that you don't give up easy, that you can pivot and go through challenges quickly and in a thoughtful way, that you have great intentions and it's not just to get rich, that you actually want to leave your mark as your legacy of something that's meaningful, that creates value, whether it's local communities or within an industry, or you know for a subset of that environment, whether it's fans or clients, or there's a bunch of different ways to look at it, but ultimately you want to invest in people that are not going to give up easy, that don't feel entitled, that know that what they're trying to accomplish is going to be tough, but they're up for the challenge, that they're hard workers, and they're outside the box thinkers that are great problem solvers. I think all those things are good ingredients for leaders of organizations that have turned great ideas into businesses. If you can find those are kind of some of the things that I look at when I'm evaluating prospects for investment.
So you talked about, and I agree with you, the big four opportunities, their valuations are high. So a lot more of the growth is in these emerging areas. USL, soccer in North America, obviously caught your attention and eye, and you made a move. Any other sports, uh, leagues, geographies that interest you, that you're paying attention to or looking to potentially make moves in?
I mean, in Europe, for instance, if you look at soccer, football, the beauty there is that there are always, low hanging fruit when you evaluate things as growth potential because of the lower leagues and the promotion relegation, right? You don't have this component of high franchise fees at the high level, kind of diluting some of the value. Um, Obviously, there's risk in everything, but I think if you look at opportunities for growth, you can always try to find an underperforming second, third division level European soccer club and try to get keep getting promoted, right? And the valuations kind of go this way. Now, that's very hard to accomplish, very hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have the right addressable market. You have to have um, that existing opportunity where you can capture the value, and you have the the previous owner either ready to fully sell out or ride the wave with you and be reasonable with valuations, so that cash injection can go to grow in the business. That's one place that I would gravitate to. Some of these, then the beauty of soccer as a sport is probably one of the oldest, most established worldwide, highly
Yeah.
penetrable, accessible sports, not only for fans, but also for the kids that want to play. You only need space and a ball. You don't need to be part of a travel team and buy all kinds of equipment and have tournament fees. And like, it's way more accessible for the end user, in my opinion. So that's why it's attractive, primarily as an investment. So some of these other like new leagues that are coming, like padel and pickleball and rugby, at least for the Western world. Let's see what else is out there. Some
Cricket.
variations of soccer, lacrosse, flag football. Like
Cricket, yeah.
I don't. I think it's earlier in their path, right? This, in my opinion, has already in North America has passed the early stage adoption kind of period. MLS started this, back in the 90s,
Right.
80s. So, we're well into it. those other guys, it's almost like MLS back in the 90s. So the runway is just a little longer. By the time that some of those may pan out, I don't think um, I'm gonna have the energy and the appetite to kind of pour my efforts into that because I'll be way older. So
Fair.
um, we'll see. I mean,
What about baseball? Any things, technologies, leagues, ideas that interest you in the sport you know best?
there are ideas, nothing that I would mention on here that I wouldn't want to unveil some secrets, but I want to keep some opportunities close to my vest too. But I've seen other stuff that is actively going out there um, and is trying to that are trying to get executed that are attractive in some ways, but sometimes you take into account different factors that may become hurdles. Um, you know, geopolitical things, just market penetration. You know, again, runway
You're
to
talking,
execution and success in different parts of the
yeah,
world that can become tough, right? It's just you also have to be reasonable in sharing the risk when people get involved super early. So, there are some things that could work out and be home runs for all parties involved, right? But
hmm,
sometimes if you've been around the block, you kind of you want to feel acknowledged, and you also want to feel like you're getting fair share of the risk that you're supporting with your capital when you
right.
get involved super early. And um, that's not to say that opportunities are not good, uh, but at that point, as an investor, you just make a decision if you want to get involved or not. I haven't gotten involved in anything in baseball just because, for me as an investor, I haven't found the right conditions to do that.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about too on the
There's a
baseball
lot
front.
of other technology pieces that are very attractive, and software, analytics, data kind of plays and tools that are being built out. It's still early. Like, context has been very hard to capture when you're talking about data sabermetrics and analytics in all sports. That's kind of like the holy grail, in my opinion. If people can start figuring out ways to inject context into some of the data analysis that happens in sports, I would be really excited about finding opportunities that allow you to do that.
What
Because
about
data is only valuable if you can place it in a specific
right?
context, or you'll be making still incomplete decisions. So
Correct.
the human eye and the eye test is the hardest thing to capture when it comes to data, and nobody's mastered it yet. So a lot of people are trying.
Hmm.
Sometimes using AI or just different algorithms and data analysis tools, but specifically for baseball, I feel like I understand that language better than most. I have still yet to find it, but I'm always looking. So
Yeah. What about like robot umpires or that whole world? Like, is that you think like does that interest? Like, say there was a company that built that, or just even that
I
technology.
mean, I
Like, does
think
that
that
make
stuff
sense?
is already built. The technology to and the tools needed to make that happen have been in existence for over, you know, 20, 30, 40 years. Um, it's just sometimes it takes a while, right? You want to make sure that technology enhances the experience of fans as the sport develops and as human skill and physical abilities get enhanced through new training and new health and medicine developments. And so you've seen it in other sports with replays and digitizing some of the broadcasting abilities. As you know, baseball is a little more protective about the nostalgia and the history and the pureness of the sport. That's not to say that in the last 10 years, they haven't looked at a lot of technology pieces to continue to evolve. I think at the right time, the people in charge will make those decisions when they feel like they're doing the best for the sport moving forward. Now, that being said, I don't think umpires are ever going to be replaceable in our game. Maybe technology can be used as a safety net, kind of like in tennis when there's you
Hmm.
know suspicion of a blatant mistake by one of the players, and in baseball would be teams. Um, then you can kind of request some sort of review that doesn't disrupt the flow of the game and the sport. I think that would be attractive for anyone. Owners, players, unions, leagues, even umpires. I mean, I think they're out there trying to do the best that they can. Um, if there's a way that they don't get negatively affected by enhancing the sport through technology to continue to make the right calls, I don't think anybody will oppose to that. It's just you got to take care of all those conditions before you can just say, okay, well, there's too many mistakes happening. Technology should be a part of this. There should be robo umpires. Like it's not as simple as that. Um, I think there's room for it in our sport, and I think everybody's at least willing to listen. It's just how do you make it happen while taking care of everybody at the same time?
Yeah, that'll be interesting to watch. And, in the heart of trying to keep these around 30 minutes, appreciate you coming on, but where can people learn more? Is it your social medias? Is it, do you have a website for the USL team or anything else?
Yeah, for sure. Listen, I'm really excited about the lights and the project and what we're going to be able to accomplish. When I looked at the opportunity, it was that a great opportunity. That being said, a lot of work to be done to make it the best that it can be. There's a few teams that are leading the way in the USL, and those are examples for us to follow on what you need to do in order to make your local soccer team great and a part of your community that they're proud of, and saying that they're big fans. So solely focus on that. Las Vegas Lights FC.com or lasvegaslights.com is our website. The USL is a great league with a lot of great penetration and a huge footprint. A lot of people don't realize how big the USL is. Obviously, because you're involved, but the USL has its championship, which is their top tier level. Then you have League One, League Two, then Academy, and on the women's side, you have League One and League Two. So we're in other communities, not just the big cities. So we feel like our footprint is great and our market penetration is great within all of North America, and I'm excited about that as well. And that was another one of the big reasons why I thought this was a great investment is our market penetration as a league. We're well positioned, and we're uniquely positioned when you look at the global soccer landscape because you could argue that we are a very good source for talent if we focus a little bit on developing great players, at the same time while winning USL League championships. So we can become somewhat of a version of what some of the top European leagues are to the EPL and La Liga, which are obviously where the big money is being played. So I'm excited about that. You know, we believe that this league is going to accomplish great things. So, can't wait to see what the future holds. But if you guys want to follow there, that's great. I have a few other projects that if people follow my social media and the news, just pay attention because some exciting things are going to come out. So obviously my social media handles Joey Bats 19 in most platforms. So I'm a big fan of yours as well and your projects and how you cover the sport. It's refreshing to see somewhat kind of show part of the business side, but all understanding the sport and just highlighting some of the good stories out there, not just the bad. So I'm looking forward to continue to follow your stories and uh, and see what other great gems you can uncover and just highlight not only great business opportunities within sport, but some of the great stories behind some of us as athletes. So I truly
Yeah.
appreciate what you do.
I appreciate that. Yeah, and it's cool now to be on both sides, not just talking about it, but making moves in it as well. So, yeah, good. Appreciate you hopping on, Jose, and we'll have to kick it with Joyce down in Tampa soon. I'll be down there. I'll be down there soon.
Yeah, there's a great brewing kind of business and sport athlete community happening. A lot of good people doing great things. Baron Davis with his group Big. Mike Joyce is doing a lot of great things. There's a few guys that I think are also going to come out onto the public with some of the stuff they're doing shortly in the future. So I'm excited, not only for you to learn about that, but the rest of the fans, because I think a lot of guys are doing some